Houston Rockets 2022 exit interviews for Alperen Sengun and Jae'Sean Tate. A big question for each of those two moving forward, as well as takeaways from some of their commentary during their final media availability, coming up right here at Locked On Rockets.
This is Mission Control, Houston.
Ignition sequence start.
With the second pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Jalen Green.
T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal.
I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep getting better every day. I'm going to keep perfecting my craft. And every time I step on that floor, I'm coming.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, native Houstonian, also host of Locked On NBA Mondays and the founder of ClutchCityControlRoom.com. Be sure to follow along on Twitter at JT Gatlin, the show, of course, at Locked On Rockets, as well as at Clutch City CR. Now, got to tell you, today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks and use promo code NBA, or go to your app store and download the app today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. For today's episode, we're going to get into the 2022 exit interviews for both Alperen Sengun and Jae'Sean Tate. A big question for each of those guys moving forward, as well as some takeaways from what each of them said in their respective exit interviews. So without further ado, let's dive in to Alperen Sengun.
Go ahead, guys.
Alperen, it's been a year now in the NBA. How comfortable are you with the way the game is played, and how comfortable do you think you'll be after a season of summer of work?
Sezon oldu bizim NBA ve NBA basketboluna ne kadar şu an rahat hissediyorsun kendini? Önümüzdeki sene ne kadar rahat hissedeceksin?
İlk geldiğimde çok yabancı hissediyordum kendimi buraya.
I was struggling. I was feeling as a real foreign player in the early season.
Ama çok şey öğrendim geldiğimden beri.
But I learned a lot.
İlk başlarda geldiğimde spacing'leri karıştırıyordum çok.
I was struggling with spacing early season.
Because last season Beşiktaş'tayken öyle değildi oyunumuz.
Because we weren't playing as a team last year in Beşiktaş.
So yani NBA basketbolunu öğrendim diyebilirim.
I can say I learned a lot about the NBA basketball.
And bir dahaki sene daha çok göstereceğim zaten.
Next season I believe I will show more.
What are some things that you were able to do out there that may have surprised you at this level?
Bu seviyede yaptığın neler seni şaşırttı? Senin yaptığın hareketler neler şaşırttı?
Aslında geçen sene bu kadar böyle paslar vermiyordum. Çünkü dediğim gibi geçen sene bu kadar yetenekli oyuncularla oynamadım.
I wasn't passing like this last year because I wasn't playing with the talented players.
Oynadım mı yani? Tabii ki de oynadım ama bu kadar değildi yani. Burada herkes yetenekli.
Not as talented as this year. Last year also I had good players.
Evet, daha çok rahat hissettiğim için burada o pasları, o görüşü yapabildim yani.
I felt more comfortable in here than last year. That's why I was passing. I passed better.
What did you learn about your other rookies this season, both on and off the court?
From his rookie team?
Yeah,
Rookie oyuncularından sen neler öğrendin bu sezon?
İşte buranın dışarı hayatını öğrendim. Yani dışarı hayat dediğim buradaki kültürü yani.
I learned more about the off the court, about the culture.
Yani tabii ki onlardan çok İngilizce kelimeler de öğrendim.
Also a lot of English words.
Do you have a favorite phrase?
For sure. From Josh.
What about just in terms of their game, though, playing alongside of them? Like, what did you learn about them, and how beneficial was it for you guys to all grow together this year?
Oyun olarak saha içinde onlardan neler öğrendim. Beraber oynayıp beraber yükseldiniz, olgunlaştınız.
Josh'la o communicate'imiz çok iyi bu sezon. Çünkü benim ne yapacağımı biliyor, ben onun ne yapacağını biliyorum.
Our communication with Josh is really good because he knows what I'm going to do. I know his next step on the court.
Yeah, and Jalen'da da öyle. Jalen da ne yapacağını biliyorum. Nerede screen yapmak isteyeceğini, ne zaman birebir oynayacağını biliyorum.
I know also Jalen, we have great communication with him because I know how he wants to screen, the angle, the timing. That's it.
Yeah.
At what point of the season did the game slow down for you and you finally adjusted to the NBA speed?
Sezonun hangi noktasında oyun sana yavaşladı? Yani çok hızlı bir oyun bu. Hangi noktasında sen daha
Aslında
yapmaya başladın?
All-Star'a kadar, All-Star 1'e kadar böyleydi. All-Star break'ten sonra daha hani artık maçlarda hani durum, herkesin sırası da belli olmuştu artık. Söyle,
Till All-Star break, I was struggling with the pace. But after All-Star break, I start to play more confident.
Yani herkesin
I
artık
start to
sırası
adjust
belliydi.
myself to pace.
Herkesin sırası belliydi artık playoff.
All the team spots was certain, so I think it was good for
Ve
us.
takımdakiler de, koçlar da o özgüveni verdi bize.
The coach gave me confidence,
Ve o zaman daha rahat hissetmeye başladım.
and I start to feel better.
Do you have any plans to work out again with Hakeem this summer? And if you do, what more would you like to learn from him?
I want, but I have schedule. I have busy schedule this summer. You know, I will come back Houston, of course. I want work with him, but we will see. You know, if he wants, if he free, I want, of course.
Okay, can you talk about your comfortability shooting the three ball? It seems like as the season went on, you got more and more comfortable.
Ama özgüveni yorumlayabilir misin? Sezonda maçta ilerledikçe özgüveni daha arttırdın, şutlar alakalı.
Ya dediğim gibi takım arkadaşlarımın özgüveni, desteği bana verdi o özgüveni.
My teammates supporting me about for me to shooting.
Yani tabii ki de çok çalışıyoruz. O yüzden şut atmam gerektiğini de biliyorum yani. Boşuna çalışmıyorum.
I'm working a lot. That's why, because I'm working, I know that I need to shoot on the game too.
Biraz büyük oyuncular var ve bazı maçlarda şut atmam gerektiğini biliyorum.
Some other teams has big players, like physical and strong. That's why on that type of games I need to shoot more behind the arc.
Bu sezon bunu da öğrendim daha hani o özgüveni sağladım. Bir dahaki sene bunu göstereceğim.
I learned that too, so I think next year gonna be better.
During the playoffs, are you going to be looking and watching specific players to kind of pick up something?
Playoff NBA belirli izlediğim bir takım veya işte oyuncu olacak mı?
Şey mi?
Aha, aynen.
Allow Phoenix and Milwaukee. They did play final last season. And they are two teams is my favorite teams.
Oyuncu var mı?
Oyuncu da yani yok yani öyle belirli bir oyuncum yok yani. Denver var, evet Denver'daki Jokic var ya.
Jokic first.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And coming up, Jae'Sean Tate's exit interview for the 2021-2022 season. But first, a quick message from our friends over at PrizePicks, because if you're looking for a daily fantasy option for the NBA, you need to check out the award-winning app PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. You pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times back on any entry, and it's just you versus the projected numbers. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. PrizePicks is safe and offers fast withdrawals. Use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. And hey, for a limited time, PrizePicks is an exclusive no-brainer of an offer for all of our listeners. Listeners get $50 for free if a player in your first PrizePicks entry scores just a single point. All you have to do is use promo code NBA. That's right. This is an exclusive offer available to Locked on Rockets fans. Sign up today and use code NBA for $50 for free if a player in your first PrizePicks entry scores just a single point. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. And another message from our friends over at BetOnline, because when it comes to BetOnline, they've got you covered for all of your betting stats and sports info, the #1 source for all of your sports betting stats and info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of Major League Baseball season. And hey, look, even though the Rockets aren't in the playoffs, right? If you still want to dabble a little bit, figure out what's going to happen. Maybe you can get down on some championship odds, and you can do that with BetOnline. Right now, the Phoenix Suns are plus 280 to win it all this season. Following them are the Milwaukee Bucks at plus 525. You got the Brooklyn Nets, a bit of a distant third, at plus 725, and then the Celtics and Warriors at plus 750 and plus 825. Bringing up the rear at spots 4 and 5. Now, with BetOnline, you can head to their website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action available to you. It's your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. And continuing on here at Locked on Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. Let's continue our exit interview series here with Jae'Sean Tate next.
Jae'Sean, this year has been about guys being comfortable with playing on the ball. You have been with that team for now 2 years now. How can you take that experience with the other guys going into year three, just being more comfortable on the ball?
Yeah. First, like I feel like from the beginning of not only this year but last year, the guys that have been around, I feel like we took a huge step. The wins and loss column might not show that, but being out there every day and just seeing the development and the growth. All our rookies, KJ, even Scoop, had over these last season or two. It's been great, and going into year three, as long as we can build off of what we did there at the end, is being competitive, playing hard. We're going to be a lot better. We're going to be a way better too.
When you reflect on this season for you personally, I guess how do you think it went, and what are the goals for next year?
I think it went well. In this business, you always can get better, and I'm the type of person that nobody's harder on themselves than I am. So I'm definitely looking to improve on all areas of my game, but just ultimately becoming a better basketball player. Better shooting, more efficient, and defensively just being that anchor.
Jae'Sean, yesterday, Coach Silas talked about the growing pains that this team has had. For you, it's been a part of this for the last 2 years. How would you summarize this?
I knew coming into this situation that there was going to be that, and that's going to always happen when you're building something great. It's not always going to be sunny days, and sometimes it got to rain, but Coach Silas just did a great job of ending us last night and just saying, remember this feeling and how we feel like, because in the future, this is going to come back. Like, we're going to remember this moment, and we're going to be thankful. This is something you have to go through to get better and to reach our goal. Whether that's being in the playoffs or winning a championship.
What does the offseason look like for Jae'Sean Tate?
A month of rest for sure. Just getting my body back, and healthy, and then it's time to go to work. It's time to, just put everything in. That's when you get better. It's in the summer, so I'll take some time off and go see my family, and I'll probably be itching to get on the court in a week or so, but I'm going to try to stay away just to give some time off, and then in May we'll get right back to it.
Any particular players that you get with in the summer and work out with?
Yeah, I get with my Ohio State brothers. We always do something at Ohio State with all the former players and vets. So D'Angelo, Candace Diop, Jared Sullinger, Gio's still up there, Greg Oden. So Mike comes back. We got a really good brotherhood there, and the runs are great. The runs are really good.
Last season, the Rockets went ahead and guaranteed your contract for this season. They did in the summertime, just took it off the table. Would that be important for you again, or does it matter to you whether they do that?
I would like that, of course, but I trust my team, and I trust the front office and the GMs to do what they have to do, and we have a great relationship, and we just got to see what happens. Right now it's just trying to get my body back in order, and May come in here and get back to work.
I'm pretty sure there's no second-year player who has started as many games as you have in the league. Should they? Is that something you think you've already proven or deserved?
I definitely think I've proven that I can play. Like I said, that's just something that we'll have to wait and see. But I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. And that's all I can say about that.
Jae'Sean, I know how much of a competitor you are. I know it's only your second year, but how eager are you to finally stop these exit interviews so early and make a push for the playoffs?
Say that. I'm sorry.
How eager are you to finally make the playoffs? After having.
Oh yeah, that's one thing. Just being who I am, I'm a competitor. I hate to lose, and this isn't what I want my NBA career to just pan out to be is just it's in the playoffs. Like we play to win. You know, I think everybody on this team, everybody who plays this game wants to be on the big stage with the big lights. So, like I said, we just got to use it as motivation these last couple of years. And nobody wants to be a loser. I can tell you that. Not from the top to the bottom. Tillman doesn't want to be a loser, and Coach Silas doesn't want to be a loser. And you know, that's going to just keep us pushing.
Looking at the front court specifically with the guys that you started playing with more this year, Alperen, KJ, but also looking at the draft, there's a lot of promising guys in there. Is there, I guess, some sort of missing piece or skill that you would like to see added to help you guys out?
Yeah, I mean, you see what they did this year with the rookies they brought in. They did a great job, and you just got to trust the front office and Rafael and coach to make those decisions. But I think the Rockets were very happy with the picks they had last year. And like I said, all our rookies have improved so much from start to finish. So I'm excited to see which way we go.
Jae'Sean, it felt like in just your second season you had to take on a bigger leadership role, being one of the older guys on the team. As you head into year 3, do you feel like it's going to be called upon you to take an even bigger step in that direction?
Definitely, because we're going to get more younger guys and I'm going to get older. So, like you said, it's just going to, this is going to be a huge summer for us. I think this is going to be the first time, like all of us, the young guys get to just be around here in Houston and play, pick up, and that's where you really start to learn each other. We had certain times in the season where we're trying different lineups and playing with different guys next to us, and this summer is going to be a great one for us to just figure each other out and get into each other.
What do you see in KPJ and Jalen as a duo, maybe especially over the last couple weeks of the season?
I mean, you guys seen it. They were phenomenal this last 10 games. They didn't miss a shot, I felt like, in 3 weeks. So it just gave you a snippet of what it could possibly be and what they bring to the table. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of 21-year-olds, play the game like they do.
Coming up, takeaways from Alperen Sengun and Jae'Sean Tate's exit interviews, as well as the big question for each of those guys moving forward. But first, a quick message from our friends over at RockAuto.com, because with the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's basically impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts that you need. Why endure the often pointless or sometimes seemingly intimidating question like, is your car an LX or an EX? It's too much, right? Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30, 50, or even 100% more for the exact same parts from a chain store or car dealership? Best of all, RockAuto.com is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers online for over 20 years. The prices are always reliably low for every single customer. They don't price gouge you just because you're a DIY person, which is exactly how it should be, right? You shouldn't have to pay more. They have everything you could need, from brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even brand new carpet. So go explore their easy-to-use website today and find the solution to your auto parts needs. Go to RockAuto.com right now to see all the parts available for your car or truck. This is a really important part. Be sure to write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so that they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Be sure to visit RockAuto.com. And final segment here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. Now, as we've heard both Alperen Sengun and Jae'Sean Tate's exit interviews as part of our Locked On Rockets exit interview series, let's dive into each one of those guys. The big question for each of them moving into this offseason, as we look towards next season as well, a big question that we're not going to just try and answer here in this show, but we will revisit as we do the season recap, season, kind of player spotlights for each of these guys moving forward, as well as just kind of a topic that we'll probably revisit a lot this offseason for each of them. But let's start with Alperen Sengun first. And the big question for me about Alperen Sengun is, has Sengun shown enough to be considered an untouchable piece of this Rockets rebuild moving forward? This is a really tough question to try and answer, because when you look at where the Rockets currently stand, I think the only player who you could, argue is truly untouchable is Jalen Green as part of this Rockets rebuild. He's shown the flashes of an absolute cornerstone piece moving forward. Has Alperen Sengun shown enough? Has he shown enough to you? Should Alperen Sengun be considered an untouchable piece of this Rockets rebuild? The flashes are incredible. The talent is absolutely there, but there are some question marks about his game moving forward, right? If he is, conceivably he really isn't a 4 at the NBA level, right? He is a 5. He is a center through and through. I don't think there's a world where you play him at the 4 unless you have another player who is more of like a 4 or 5 option, a la a Christian Wood type, who can kind of, fulfill a little bit of both roles, be it offensively, defensively, and kind of be that flexible piece next to Alperen Sengun on the floor. And again, it doesn't have to be Christian Wood. I'm saying maybe a type of player like that, right? But there's some question marks about his game moving forward. And I think this offseason, a big one of those is going to be, defensively. How much better can Alperen Sengun get defensively? If he is able to, which is why I was wondering if he was going to be able to get into the, gym again with Hakeem Olajuwon, because they didn't focus so much on the defensive side of things during their workout earlier this season. And I do wonder how much more room for growth Alperen Sengun has on that side of the basketball. We saw him grow quite a bit as a defender this season, but does he have another gear that he can tap into? Does he have another level defensively? I'm not expecting Alperen Sengun to become a DPOY type candidate. That's unreasonable expectations. That's a ceiling that he's never going to be able to probably attain as an NBA player. That said, I feel like when you are the 5 in an NBA system, there's a certain amount of pressure that is placed on you to be the anchor of the defense, unless you are surrounded by some really seriously talented perimeter defenders, or you just have a defensive scheme that works really well to your advantage. And with the way that the Rockets are presently constructed, when you look at what Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green were able to do as kind of the 1-2 options in the Rockets offense to wind down the season, you can't help but wonder how this Rockets system would look if they had a 5 that was more of a defensive anchor, kind of protect the paint, maybe provide some vertical spacing offensively. And I think that's the big question mark, is Alperen Sengun doesn't provide a ton of vertical, and realistically, he doesn't provide any vertical spacing offensively. He's incredibly talented, right? And maybe that talent outshines or outweighs the necessity to have some vertical spacing in the Rockets offense. But I think we saw some of the drawbacks to Stephen Silas's 5-out offense this season. I think that the spacing at times was a little suspect, and I think a big part of that is not having an option out there like a KJ Martin, right? We see how the floor kind of opens up a little bit more in the pick and roll when KJ Martin is the rim-running lob threat, or when Christian Wood actually runs a pick and roll and is treated as a lob threat, rolling hard to the rim. Alperen Sengun doesn't provide that level of spacing. He can still roll to the rim, and he sets a damn good screen. But he's a guy that you have to treat. It's very similar to Jae'Sean Tate, right? You're not really lofting the ball over the top of the defense, so you miss out on some of that vertical spacing. These are all just some areas that I think about when considering Alperen Sengun's fit on this Rockets team moving forward, his role on this Rockets team moving forward, and whether or not he truly is the starting center of the future. I think he's absolutely got the talent, right? And I think that all those little questions kind of point back towards the big one is Alperen Sengun, or should he be considered an untouchable piece of this Rockets rebuild moving forward? I'm not going to try to answer that question now, but it's a question to think about as we navigate this Rockets offseason, one that we will definitely be revisiting. Now, with Jae'Sean Tate, what is Jae'Sean Tate's role moving forward with this Houston Rockets team, right? He's been the de facto starter for the past 2 years, ever since, getting injected into the starting lineup, basically post James Harden era Houston Rockets. Jae'Sean Tate has been a consistent staple of this Houston Rockets team. Is he the starter moving forward, right? What is the role here for Jae'Sean Tate? Now, I will say that I think that the way the Rockets handled their exit interviews, they basically handled all the veterans the night before, so the final night of the season, so Sunday evening after the Hawks game later that night, they handled all the exit interviews for the vets. So they handled Eric Gordon, Christian Wood, John Wall, Dennis Schroeder, David Nwaba, like everybody, Bruno Fernando was unavailable for the day of exit interviews, but I believe he was included in that other group as well. But when you look at Jae'Sean Tate, the fact that he was lumped in with all the other young players for this Rockets team as far as their exit interviews are concerned, and also when you look at the fact that he wasn't shut down like the other veterans were, like Christian Wood, like EG, like Schroeder, for the remainder of the season, I think that should be a sign that this Rockets team does still view Jae'Sean Tate as a part of their core moving forward. The question, though, is what is that role moving forward, right? Is he still going to be a starter next season? Is he maybe going to be moved into a reserve role that will allow him to kind of pilot that second unit a little bit, be that stabilizing force for the second unit, maybe tap into a bit more of his playmaking bag that we saw kind of dissipate as the season went on this year. A lot of big questions for Jae'Sean Tate moving forward, but I do think that is kind of at least, a sign in his favor that he was kind of lumped in with the rest of the Rockets' young guys. And I do think that there's kind of Jae'Sean Tate is kind of that bridging of the gap between the young guys and between some of the vets on the roster. And while I do think this summer needs to be a summer of consolidation for this Rockets team, where they have so many pieces, so many different guys, so many different areas that they can go, they already have they had 4 rookies this season. They've got KJ, they've got Jae'Sean Tate kind of lumped into that group. So that's 6 guys who are incredibly young. And then you're going to be adding conceivably 2 more picks to that with this year's draft. That means over half of your roster will either be rookies or sophomores. And that's not including the fact that they already have right now 13 or 14 guys currently under contract for next season. So some level of consolidation is going to have to take place this summer. Will Jae'Sean Tate find himself a part of that consolidation, or is he going to find himself as a part of this young core moving forward, be it still in a starter role or be it as a reserve coming off of the bench? That is the big question mark for Jae'Sean Tate, is what is his role moving forward with this Houston Rockets team? But that's going to do it for this first edition of the Houston Rockets 2022 exit interviews. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Google, the brand new Odyssey app, free and available on all platforms. Also, be sure to check out the new Locked On Rockets YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Rockets, like, comment, subscribe, all of that. If you haven't done so, check out the YouTube channel. Let me know what you think about Alperen Sengun and Jae'Sean Tate's exit interviews. Also, shout out Alperen Sengun and the fact that his English has gotten so much better. The little faux show phrase from Josh Christopher being his favorite little emote in English is absolutely incredible. He's just a clown, but in the best possible way. So with that, as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.